The worst part isn't being left, it's being silently tested and abandoned without even knowing you were part of a test. Maybe you've received a random "I miss you" text, or noticed an old Instagram like, or felt them show up again only to disappear just as quickly. It seems spontaneous, but these are actually subtle emotional tests avoidants use before even thinking about coming back. And the craziest part? They don't even realize they're doing it. This is how an avoidance nervous system works. They can't just return, they'd have to face vulnerability, regret, and the fear of rejection. So instead, they take a detour. They test you through micro moves that are emotionally loaded. In today's video, you're going to learn the 5 hidden tests avoidants use before making a move, the deep psychological triggers behind each one, how to respond with intelligence, strength, and self-worth, so you protect your dignity and discover whether they're truly ready or just pulling you back in. This isn't just their exam for you, it's your evaluation of them. If you've been confused by hot and cold behavior, or if something in you feels like you're being emotionally played but you can't quite name it, you need to stay until the end of this video. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because healing starts with understanding the invisible forces shaping your relationships. Breadcrumb test, the bait. Sometimes it all starts again with a message that seems harmless. How have you been? A funny meme, a nostalgic song, a random accidental text, and your heart skips a beat. Because after everything, they show up again. But just when you begin to open your heart, they go silent. This is not random. It's not that they missed you so much they couldn't resist. It's a test, a small experiment from someone with an avoidant attachment system. They're breadcrumbing you. In psychology, this is called breadcrumbing, like leaving crumbs on a path to see if the trail is still there. But avoidants don't want to return just yet. They only want to see if the door is still open. Avoidant people have trouble facing vulnerability, so they test the waters without risking their ego. A meme costs nothing. A casual "hey" isn't a commitment. If you ignore it, they can retreat safely. If you reply, they know you're still emotionally available. Inside them, a panicked nervous system and a guarded ego. As Dr. Amir Levine, author of Attached, explains, avoidants do crave connection, but their nervous system freaks out at closeness. So every time they move closer, they panic, they back away, then miss you. But coming back would mean saying, "I need you," and that feels far too vulnerable. The truth you need: this isn't love, it's a test. The painful truth? Many people mistake breadcrumbing for hope. They reply with long emotional texts, but the avoidant disappears again. Because their goal isn't reconnection, it's reassurance. Breadcrumbing is a test. Are you still as emotionally reactive? Will you still chase them? Are you still the person who does more? How securely attached people respond. People with secure attachment don't play the savior. They don't see a meme as a signal of love. They don't hold on to half-hearted messages like lifelines. They think, "Oh, he texted, I can respond politely, but I'm not playing this unclear game anymore." They don't overreact. They don't trauma dump. They let silence do the work. Your response, kind and clear. You don't have to be cold or harsh, just clear and boundaried. For example, "Cute song, end of 4." Or, "Yeah, it's been a while. Hope all is well." Short, polite, closed-ended, no invitations, no chasing. If they truly want to reconnect, they'll show up consistently. If not, you just dodged an emotional roller coaster. Jealousy test, the jealousy trigger. And if the breadcrumb didn't pull a response from you, the avoidant will often shift to a more subtle strategy, triggering your jealousy, not through direct words, not through conversation, but by showing up on social media, liking old stories, posting an ambiguous selfie, mentioning someone new in a vague caption. They don't talk to you directly, but they create an atmosphere of emotional ambiguity. This is not coincidence. It's the jealousy test. The goal: trigger your emotions without leaving their comfort zone. For avoidance, jealousy isn't about manipulation. It's a defense mechanism rooted in fear. They're terrified of the idea that you might forget them. But instead of asking, "Do you still think about me?" they use indirect cues that make you feel, guess, and spiral. If you get jealous, view their stories, or react, they feel reassured. As Fraley and Shaver, 2000, noted, avoidants aren't afraid of separation, they're afraid of being replaced. So their calculated presence is less about reconciliation, more about emotional surveillance. Inside them, a panicked ego losing control. When you don't chase, don't comment, don't react, they feel their emotional control slipping, not out of malice, but because inside them is a child screaming, "Do I still matter to anyone?" Instead of facing that fear, they opt for safety, making you react without risking anything themselves. The truth, this isn't a second chance. The fantasy says, maybe they're coming back. But if someone truly wants to return, they show up clearly, responsibly, and directly. Posting vague photos or flirting through stories? That's not intimacy. That's a test. How securely attached people respond. Secure people don't play emotional ping pong. They don't post thirst traps to provoke jealousy. They don't overanalyze ambiguous stories. They see the game and refuse to play. They know, if someone wants to return, they won't do it in code. Your response, not silence, but dignity. You don't have to prove anything. No need to react, to say, "Are you trying to make me jealous?" No need to retaliate with your own stories. Just don't engage. If their story pulls you into emotional confusion, that's a sign you've been trained to react. Now, you reclaim your power. I only respond to clarity, not to shadows. I won't be emotionally baited anymore. Because you're not someone waiting to be chosen. You're choosing who's worth letting back in. Crisis test, they reach out when they're in crisis. And then, one day, your phone lights up with a message you weren't expecting. "I just had a terrible day. For some reason, you're the first person I thought of." No more breadcrumbs. No vague social media signals. This time, there's emotion, or at least a piece of it. You might feel your heart soften. You might even feel hopeful because deep down, you've longed for a message like this. But pause. You may be walking straight into the third avoidant test, the crisis reach out. They reach out, but not to reconnect. They say, "I miss you. I don't know who else to talk to. I just needed to hear your voice." It pulls on your softest parts, your desire to help, to be needed, to feel special. But often, this isn't about getting back together. They don't want love. They want comfort without commitment. This is where you become their emotional safe space, someone they only turn to when nothing else is working, yet they're not willing to keep around. Inside them, fear of disconnection but unable to stay connected. Avoidants aren't emotionless. In moments of pain, they remember the one person who once made them feel seen, and that's you. But as Dr. Philip Shaver points out, avoidants often maintain emotional safe havens, people they seek for soothing without deeper commitment. They want you to play the role of a temporary lover without the label. They want to absorb your warmth, empathy, and care without giving anything in return. Hard truth. This isn't vulnerability, it's self-soothing. It feels real. It feels soft. You want to believe it's healing. But vulnerability isn't dumping emotion and disappearing. Vulnerability is responsibility. It shows up, stays, and commits. They're not returning to you. They're trying to heal themselves using your energy. How secure people respond. Secure people set boundaries. They don't offer free emotional labor. They know compassion doesn't require self-sacrifice. They might say, "That sounds really hard. I hope you find the support you need to truly heal." Kind but clear. They refuse to play the emotional rescue role in an undefined relationship. Your response. Kind-hearted but strong. You can reply warmly, "I hope you get through this. I believe you're strong enough." But don't ask more. Don't invite. Don't hope. Because if they truly want to come back, they will with clarity and action. If not, they'll feel better from your energy, then disappear again. Remember, someone who only reaches for you when they're hurting, but never stays when you need them, that's not love. That's a short-term emotional fix. And you're not anyone's painkiller. Future fake test. Vague promises about the future. After moments of vulnerability during their crises, they may come back this time with a different kind of energy. No more sad texts or vague signals. Now, they talk about something bigger. "I've been thinking a lot about our relationship. I started reading psychology books. Maybe when things settle down, we could have another chance." It sounds mature. It sounds like growth. But if you pay close attention, one thing becomes clear. They don't do anything. From words to action, a wide, empty gap. You don't see them saying, "Can we meet this Saturday to talk through things?" You don't see them making specific steps to rebuild the relationship. Just words always about the future, never about the present. This is the future fake test, a quiet check to see if you'll wait for them, even if they're not ready to step forward yet. Inside them, keeping you with hope while avoiding real connection. It's not cruelty, it's survival for the avoidant. They know if they go silent, you might move on. But if they give you just enough hope, a sliver of potential, maybe you'll stay. What they want is someone who's still waiting but not demanding action. They want you nearby, but without the obligations real intimacy requires. Commitment, presence, responsibility. The truth, beautiful words aren't real love. Here's the hard truth. Future talk is not real action. Mature language doesn't mean mature behavior. Promises mean nothing without concrete follow-through. As Dr. Amir Levine notes, avoidants often use future language to create the feeling of closeness without actual intimacy. It's like drawing a beautiful house but never laying a brick. How securely attached people respond. Secure individuals don't get swept up by dreamy words without real steps. They'll gently say, "That sounds positive, but if you truly mean it, I'd need to see something concrete right now." Not to pressure, but to honor their own worth and time. Your response. Separate dreams from reality. You don't need to reject them harshly. Just be clear and grounded. "I'm glad you're reflecting. If one day you're ready to have a concrete conversation, I'm open to hear it." Then, don't feed hope from vague words. Don't hold space for someone showing up with just promises. Because someone truly ready won't say, "Someday." They'll say, "This week, I'd like to see you. I've been thinking about what we need to change. I started therapy. Here's what I've realized. Real partners don't just bring dreams, they bring plans." Consistency test. They're testing their own limits. When vague future promises no longer keep you around, the avoidant, if still emotionally attached, may return with their final test. Inconsistent consistency. They text you every day for a week, ask you out, talk kindly. You think, finally, they're ready. Then, suddenly they vanish for 3 days. They respond coldly, seem distant when you meet. Then, just like that, they're warm again, like nothing happened. You wonder, did I do something wrong? Why the sudden change? What do they want from me? They're not testing you, they're testing themselves. This is one of the most unintentional but honest tests avoidants run. At this point, they're not playing games with you, but genuinely struggling with their own emotions. They want closeness, they miss you, they want connection. But the moment that closeness feels too real, their nervous system activates the danger signal. Too close, too vulnerable, run. So they pull back. Then they feel lonely again and return. It's a painful cycle of emotional push-pull they can't fully control. Inside them, an overactive nervous system and a heart not ready. According to attachment theory and neuroscience research, avoidants often have a highly reactive system to feelings of dependence. The closer they get, the more their system screams, "This is dangerous." So they employ deactivation strategies, distancing themselves to self-soothe. Ironically, they don't want to lose you, but they can't tolerate being too close for long. The truth, if left unchecked, they'll drag you into a codependent loop. If you don't recognize this emotional instability as theirs, you'll likely blame yourself. "Maybe I said something wrong. If I'm softer, they won't pull away." But the truth is, this is their internal conflict, not your fault. And if you stay, constantly adjusting to be just right, you'll fall into the anxious, avoidant trap. One chases, the other flees. How securely attached people respond. Secure people don't pretend everything's fine. They don't silently accept hot and cold behavior. They'll say, "I feel like this relationship is becoming unstable. If you need space, I respect that. But if you keep disappearing, I won't continue." They set clear emotional boundaries, refusing to be someone's emotional crash test dummy. Your response: respect yourself. Instead of soothing their fear, you can respond with strength and clarity. "I need emotional consistency to build something healthy. If you're not sure, I'm stepping back." You don't accuse, you're not angry, but you're not tolerating chaos either, because you understand. Real maturity is not just about loving, it's about taking responsibility for how your presence affects others. Looking back at all 5 tests, breadcrumbing, jealousy triggers, crisis reach-outs, vague future talk, and emotional inconsistency, you'll notice a pattern. The avoidant never fully leaves, but never fully stays. They create emotional ambiguity just enough to keep you hooked, but not enough to commit. And many people assume they're playing mind games, they're manipulating me. But the truth is more complex. Most of these behaviors are not conscious manipulation. They are unconscious survival responses of a disorganized attachment system. Not a bad person, but a wounded attachment system trying to protect itself. According to attachment theory, first developed by John Bowlby and expanded by researchers like Dr. Amir Levine, Attached, and Dr. Sue Johnson, we don't just learn how to love, we learn how to survive love. For avoidants, love doesn't feel safe. It feels like a potential trap. They may have grown up in environments where closeness meant control, suffocation, or chaos. So their nervous system learned, the closer I get, the more I risk losing myself. To survive, I must stay distant. Their avoidant behaviors aren't cruelty. They are ways to breathe when intimacy feels suffocating. Their inner conflict, craving connection but fearing it. Imagine an alarm system inside them, always on. When they're too far, they feel lonely, alarm goes off. Go back. When they get close, vulnerability rises, alarm screams, too much, pull away. This is why they can love you and still run from you. Not because they're fake, but because their attachment system is wired to resist stability. In truth, they're not testing you, they're testing themselves. Can I stay close without losing control? Can I tolerate intimacy without collapsing? Future talk, a clever emotional defense. One of their go-to defenses is future-oriented language. They say, one day, when I'm ready, once things settle down. As Dr. Amir Levine explains, this is a defense that feels safe. It sounds intimate, they're talking about us, but it demands nothing in the present, so there's no real pressure. It creates the illusion of closeness, but it's really a form of emotional avoidance. So, what do you do? Understanding this doesn't mean excusing the hurt. It means, jeden, don't blame yourself. 2, don't try to heal them by breaking yourself. 3, learn when to love with compassion and when to walk away with dignity. After gaining deep insight into the 5 tests the avoidant partner laid out for you, it's time to flip the script. You are testing them, not from a passive stance of waiting, but with an active mindset. You set the criteria for their maturity and readiness to commit. When they breadcrumb you with a casual message, you respond lightly and fall silent, watching if they follow up. When they sow jealousy on social media, you don't chase them. You quietly uphold your own life rhythm and observe their reaction. When they reach out to you in crisis, you express empathy without becoming a temporary emotional crutch. Then note if they take responsibility for the feelings they stir. When they offer vague promises about the future, you don't feed into undefined hope but demand concrete steps in the here and now. And when they display half-hearted consistency, you preemptively set boundaries. You'll only stay if they truly keep their word. Each of these responses is an unspoken test you administer to them, gauging whether they're genuinely prepared for a balanced, transparent, and responsible relationship. You do more than just stand by, you evaluate them moment by moment. Can they maintain stable presence, communicate clearly, and honor the limits you establish? Will they own the pain they've caused and put in effort to make amends? You scrutinize each declaration of, I'm changing, for real-world action rather than empty promises. You listen for when you request a specific meetup, whether they prioritize following through or continue to delay. You assess every step of their initiative rather than relying on their ambiguous signals. This is your way of interrogating. Can this person truly embrace closeness without fleeing? Can they withstand the responsibilities of a healthy partnership, or are they still ruled by their nervous system? Testing them is not about exerting unreasonable pressure, but about protecting yourself from investing in an unstable connection. By steadfastly maintaining your own framework, you force them into a clear choice: either face you earnestly or step away. Their answer delivered through actions, not words, reveals whether this relationship can go on or if it's time for you to let go. You're no longer caught in their push-pull dynamic. You're now in control of the emotional timeline. You offer the opportunity, they must prove their readiness. Through this process, you affirm your own worth. You deserve a relationship grounded in transparency, respect, and consistency, not one built on invisible tests. Administering your own assessment isn't punishment. It's discerning whether they can truly walk with you on a path of growth, or if they'll remain in half measures. When your test concludes whether they step up or walk away, you emerge empowered, no longer blindly hoping for promises without actions. That is the pivotal turnaround. From being tested to being the tester, you reclaim the power to decide the fate of this relationship. We've walked through 5 hidden tests avoidant partners often use before truly considering a comeback. 1. Breadcrumbing, scattering crumbs to see if you're still receptive. 2. Jealousy tests, igniting jealousy to reaffirm their place in your heart. 3. Crisis reach-outs, seeking you in moments of crisis without lasting commitment. 4. Future fake promises, vague future talk without present action. 5. Consistency tests, on and off closeness to gauge their own emotional limits. The most crucial takeaway is, you are not just the one being tested. You are testing them too by setting clear boundaries, demanding transparency, and offering space only for genuine effort. Healing isn't about waiting for someone else to change. It's about recognizing your own worth and knowing when to let go. When you steadfastly protect your self-respect, you not only avoid painful cycles but also open the door to healthier relationships with someone truly ready to walk beside you. If this video shed light on understanding yourself and your relationships more deeply, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content on healing and growth. Thank you for staying until the end. I look forward to walking this journey with you.